This was probably the most consequential day in AI we've had this year, not because of one announcement, but because of how many huge things happened at once, and one of them genuinely changes who's running the AI race. Here's the headline you might have missed if you blinked. Google just put up to $40 billion into Anthropic, the company that makes Claude, the company directly competing with Google's own Gemini. $10 billion is going in immediately at a $380 billion valuation. The remaining $30 billion follows when Anthropic hits performance milestones. Why does this matter? Because Anthropic's revenue just exploded from $1 billion in annualized revenue at the end of 2024 to $9 billion at the end of 2025 to $30 billion as of early April 2026. Their valuation is up 10x in 18 months. Bloomberg is reporting they may IPO as soon as October, and Google isn't the only one writing huge checks. Amazon also dropped another $5 billion this month, with up to $25 billion total committed. Nvidia is reportedly investing up to $10 billion. Even Microsoft is reportedly putting up to $5 billion an hour. $4 trillion tech giants are now all backing Anthropic at the same time. Meanwhile, OpenAI launched GPT-5.5, their smartest model ever, which just took the #1 spot on the most respected AI benchmark in the world. A Chinese open source model called Kimi K2.6 just dropped that's beating Claude and GPT-5 on humanity's last exam, considered the hardest AI test that exists, for free. ChatGPT Images 2.0 launched and instantly became the top image model on the LM Arena leaderboard, jumping past Google's Nano Banana with the biggest score gain anyone has ever seen on the platform. A guy decoded his own DNA at home with AI for $100 in 4 hours. The same process used to cost $3 billion and take 13 years. And a major web platform that powers OpenAI's website, Nike's site, Walmart's site, just got hacked. The way they got in is genuinely terrifying. It tells you something important about how AI is becoming the new attack surface for every company on Earth. Plus 8 more updates I'll get to. Let me walk you through everything you need to know. Let's go. The biggest move of the week. Google announced on Friday they're investing up to $40 billion into Anthropic. $10 billion goes in now at a $380 billion valuation. The remaining $30 billion is contingent on Anthropic hitting performance targets. For context, Google's Gemini directly competes with Anthropic's Claude. They sell competing AI models. So Google is putting $40 billion into a direct competitor. Why? 2 reasons. First, compute. Anthropic has been scrambling. Users have been complaining for weeks about Claude rate limits. The company has responded with a string of mega deals to lock in infrastructure capacity. Earlier this month, they announced $100 billion in compute commitments with Amazon for 5 gigawatts. They struck a separate deal with CoreWeave for additional data center capacity. Now, Google is adding another 5 gigawatts of TPU compute over the next 5 years. That's roughly the power generation of 10 nuclear power plants, locked in for one company. Second, Google wants to hedge. The AI race is now defined by who has access to compute. OpenAI is locking up capacity through deals with Cerebras, Microsoft, and the $500 billion Stargate project. Google doesn't want to be locked out of any path to the future, so they're backing Anthropic too. Here's the wild part of all this. Anthropic's annualized revenue went from $1 billion at the end of 2024 to $9 billion at the end of 2025 to $30 billion as of April 2026. That's a 30x increase in 16 months. Most of that growth is coming from Claude Code, their developer-focused product, plus enterprise contracts with Fortune 500 companies. Investors are reportedly willing to back Anthropic at $800 billion or more in the secondary market. Bloomberg is reporting they're considering an IPO as soon as October. Tom's Hardware reported the implied valuation has briefly touched $1 trillion in private trades. If you're using Claude, this matters. More compute means fewer rate limits. More investment means better models faster. The intense competition between Anthropic and OpenAI is the reason both Claude and ChatGPT keep getting better every month. OpenAI launched GPT-5.5 inside ChatGPT and Codex this week, and it's the biggest model upgrade we've seen in months. What's actually different? GPT 5.5 is dramatically better at understanding what you're trying to do with way less context. You can give it a vague prompt and it figures out what you actually meant. It's also way better at handling messy, real-world tasks. Coding, spreadsheets, research, computer use. The big shift is that it now plans steps on its own, checks its own work, and finishes multi-part jobs without you hand-holding it through every step. The benchmark numbers are wild. On Terminal Bench, which measures how well models execute terminal commands, GPT 5.5 scored 82.7%. GPT 5.4 scored 75%. Claude Opus scored 69.4%. And on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, which combines 10 hard benchmarks into a single intelligence score, GPT-5.5 Extra High is now the standalone leader. Before this release, there was a three-way tie at the top between Opus 4.7, Gemini 3.1 Pro, and GPT 5.4. Now there's a clear winner. Pricing doubled though. GPT 5.5 costs $5 per million input tokens and $30 per million output tokens. GPT 5.4 was $2.50 and $15. The catch is that 5.5 uses fewer tokens to complete the same tasks, so the actual cost per task isn't as bad as the per token doubling suggests. Who gets it? Plus, Pro, Business, and Enterprise users get GPT 5.5 in ChatGPT and Codex. Pro, Business, and Enterprise users also get the stronger 5.5 Pro model. If you're on the free plan or Go plan, not yet. API access is coming soon, but isn't live as of recording, so it's not in Cursor or any third-party coding tools yet. The honest take. For everyday users, the biggest improvement is that the model does more with less. You can give a vague prompt and get back something that feels personalized to you specifically. If the model has context on you from past conversations, the personalization is genuinely impressive. For coders, the benchmarks tell the real story. Real coding work moves significantly faster on this model. While the Western press was busy covering OpenAI and Anthropic, China dropped something significant. Kimi K2.6 from Moonshot AI. Open source, free. And it's beating both Claude and GPT-5 on humanity's last exam. That's considered the hardest knowledge benchmark in AI. Real graduate level questions across multiple disciplines, the kind of test where even Claude Opus and GPT-5 struggle. Three things make Kimi K2.6 different. First, it can code for over 12 hours straight across 4,000 plus tool calls. Most AI tools handle one task and wait for your next message. Kimi can sustain extended work sessions without losing the thread. Second, it builds full websites from a single sentence. Animations, 3D graphics, databases, the whole thing. From one prompt. Third, the previous Kimi version could spawn 100 subagents to work in parallel. K2.6 jumped that to 300. So 300 specialized AI workers can tackle different parts of your project simultaneously, all coordinated by a central agent. This is genuinely impressive. The fact that it's open source is what changes the picture. Open source AI is no longer playing catch-up. On certain benchmarks, it's now beating frontier proprietary models. You probably haven't heard of Vercel, but you use them every day. Vercel is the invisible engine behind millions of websites, including OpenAI's site, Nike's site, Walmart's site, and tens of thousands of others. The company is valued at $9.3 billion. It's part of the foundational infrastructure of the modern web. This week, Vercel got breached. Here's what makes the story important. The hackers didn't attack Vercel directly. They attacked a tiny AI productivity tool that one Vercel employee had installed. That employee clicked Allow all permissions when connecting the tool to their Google workspace. That single click was the entry point. Hackers bypassed multi-factor authentication, walked into Vercel's internal systems, and reportedly stole API keys, source code, and data on 580 employees. The stolen data is now being sold online for $2 million. This is part of a bigger pattern. Last November, Chinese hackers used Claude itself to automate attacks against 30 global companies. Anthropic disclosed that the AI handled roughly 90% of the work autonomously. Here's what's actually changing. AI tools are no longer just assistants. They're becoming employees. They read your email. They log into your dashboards. They have access to your files. And hackers have figured out the fastest way into a company is now through whatever AI tool an employee installed last week. 3 things to do today. 1, open your Google Workspace settings and audit every AI tool you've connected. Remove anything you're not actively using. 2, never click Allow all permissions on any AI tool ever. Read what you're approving. The default permission scopes are usually way too broad. 3, tell your team. The new attack vector isn't a sketchy email. It's a polished AI app asking for innocent-sounding access. AI is the new door into your company. Make sure you know who you're letting in. This one is genuinely incredible. A guy decoded his own DNA at home using AI for 1 hour and $100. The whole process took 4 hours. For context, the first human genome was sequenced through the Human Genome Project. It cost $3 billion, took 13 years, required hundreds of scientists across multiple institutions. Here's what he used: a USB-sized DNA sequencer that plugs into a laptop, an AI model called AlphaGenome from Google DeepMind that takes raw DNA data and translates it into readable interpretations. About 4 hours of processing time. Why this matters for everyone. More than 1 in 3 people process common medications differently because of a single gene. Antidepressants, painkillers, heart medication. For some people, the standard dose is too strong. For others, too weak. Most people have no idea which group they're in. Sequencing your DNA tells you. It also reveals inherited risks for cancer, autoimmune conditions, and other genetic predispositions that run in families. Now here's the limitation. Reading the DNA letters is the easy part. About 98% of your genome isn't coding genes. It's instructions that tell genes when to switch on and off. Scientists used to call this junk DNA because nobody could interpret it. AlphaGenome from Google DeepMind changed that last year. It can predict how variations in DNA sequences impact biological processes. The setup is still early stage and not for everyone, but the trajectory is what matters. Personal genomic medicine is becoming accessible to ordinary people. That changes a lot of things about healthcare in the next 5 years. SpaceX just announced a major collaboration with Cursor, the AI coding editor that most engineers already use every day. The deal: Cursor gets access to Colossus, the SpaceX-tied xAI supercomputer. We're talking roughly 1 million H100 equivalent GPUs. That's more compute power than most countries have access to. What Cursor will do with all of that? Train much more powerful coding and knowledge work models? Models built specifically for engineers and complex technical tasks. In return, SpaceX gets the right to acquire Cursor later in 2026 for up to $60 billion or pay $10 billion just for the joint research output if they don't acquire. A coding tool that started 2 years ago is now potentially worth $60 billion. Why? Because the people building infrastructure realized something. Whoever owns the tool engineers actually code and owns where the next decade of software gets built. For anyone in tech, this is the partnership to watch this year. Elon Musk dropped Grok 4.3 with no announcement, no press release, nothing. Just shipped it. What's different about it? Most AI models can write for you. Grok 4.3 can actually build deliverables. Give it a topic and it builds you a full PowerPoint deck. Ask for analysis and it spits out a populated Excel sheet with formulas. Want a report? It generates a downloadable PDF. You can also feed it a video, not just images, full video, and it understands what's happening inside it. This is a real capability that not even Claude has yet. For anyone doing analysis work, marketing, or research deliverables, this is worth testing. OpenAI dropped a major image model upgrade this week, ChatGPT Images 2.0, and the leaderboard reaction was wild. Quick context: the way I evaluate image models is through LM Arena, blind taste test. The platform shows you 2 images from 2 different models without labels. You pick the one you like better, pure user preference. For months, Google's Nano Banana sat at the top with a score around 1271. Every other model clustered below in the 1100s and 1200s. ChatGPT Images 2.0 just landed at 1500. That's not a small jump. That's the biggest score lead anyone has ever seen on the platform. What's new? It can render dense text inside images more accurately than anything before. It feels less AI generated. It works across multiple languages with grammatically correct output. And it can use real-world knowledge plus web search to fill in gaps when generating infographics, diagrams, or scientific imagery. It's also OpenAI's first image model with thinking capabilities. It actually reasons about what it's generating, searches the web for real-time information, creates multiple distinct images from one prompt, double-checks its own outputs. Some examples that genuinely surprised me this week. Riley Brown asked it to generate a book cover with a barcode that scans to the actual book on Google. Worked. He scanned the barcode with his phone. It took him directly to good to great on Google. Then he tested it with the intelligent investor. Worked again. He blacked out the ISBN numbers underneath the barcode to prove it wasn't reading the digits. Still worked. The barcode itself was correct. Leon Lin generated a 360-degree equirectangular image with Sam Altman, Jensen Huang, Tim Cook, and Elon Musk standing together. The kind of shot that would normally require an Insta360 camera. Bo Wang generated a complete cell biology infographic with labeled organelles. Mark generated a newspaper page with dense, fully readable text. Riley Goodside had it generate a 32 by 48 maze with a worked solution drawn in. A few more updates worth knowing. Anthropic live artifacts. Anthropic added live artifacts to Claude. Unlike static charts that go stale, these are interactive dashboards connected to your live data. They refresh automatically. You can build a daily command center pulling from Gmail, Calendar, Slack, and other connected apps. Everything saves in a dedicated tab with version history. OpenAI Chronicle. OpenAI shipped an experimental tool inside Codex called Chronicle. It quietly takes periodic screenshots of your screen in the background to build memory of what you've been working on. So you can ask, why is this failing? Or fix that bug I was seeing earlier, without re-explaining your context every time. Opt-in. Screenshots stored only 6 hours on your device. There are real privacy questions here. Worth thinking about whether you want the trade-off. Google Stitch Design.md. Google open sourced a format called design.md. It's a markdown file that describes an entire design system. Colors, fonts, spacing, components, the reasoning behind every choice. AI agents can now read your actual brand rules and generate UIs that match them. This is the standard to start using if you're building digital products. Claude Desktop becomes universal. Anthropic made the Claude Desktop app work with any AI model, not just Claude. You can now plug in OpenRouter, your company's private system, or even a local model running on your laptop. Most AI companies want to lock you in. Anthropic gave you the keys. ChatGPT Workspace Agents. OpenAI dropped Workspace Agents inside ChatGPT. You describe a job in plain English. ChatGPT spins up an agent that lives inside your tools. Slack, Linear, email, all of it. Someone built an agent that monitors product feedback in Slack, answers questions, and files Linear issues. Runs 24/7. When a user reports a bug at 2 a.m., the agent files the ticket before anyone wakes up. Anthropic Mythos in the wild. Anthropic's most powerful model, Mythos, was kept in limited release because of cybersecurity capabilities. This week it leaked. Anthropic says no evidence it's been used to harm any of their systems, but the situation got messy. Sam Altman's response. On the Core Memory podcast, Sam Altman addressed the situation by saying, calling your model a bomb that's too dangerous to release is incredible marketing. Whether you agree or not, the framing did drive massive interest in Mythos. Google launched 8th gen TPU chips, specifically built for AI training and inference. This is part of Google's strategy to compete directly with NVIDIA as an AI chip supply. Google's capital expenditure for 2026 is projected at $175 to $185 billion, most of it going into chips, data centers, and power. A robot half marathon happened in China. 4 humanoid robots crossed the finish line in under an hour. One was running faster than most human half marathoners. There's hilarious footage of robots tripping over course tape, going the wrong direction, and one that just exploded mid-race. That's the day. The compute war is the AI war now. Google putting $40 billion into Anthropic, Amazon adding $5 billion, NVIDIA and Microsoft also writing checks, OpenAI locking up capacity through Stargate, Microsoft, and Cerebras. The companies that win the next 2 years will be the ones with the most chips, the most data centers, and the most power. Models are getting commoditized faster than anyone expected. The infrastructure is the moat now. If you only have time to try one thing this weekend, my pick is ChatGPT Images 2.0. Test it with a real-world brand prompt. Try the QR code trick. Try multilingual rendering. You'll see why I'm convinced this is the most useful image model anyone has shipped. If you've got more time, also test GPT-5.5 with a vague prompt about something it has context on you for. The personalization will surprise you. The video on screen now is my full deep dive on Claude Design, which I think is the most underrated launch of the past 2 weeks. Watch that next if you want to see how to build animations, slide decks, and websites from a single prompt. See you in the next one.